Hello, hello, welcome. This is Friday with Fran. I am your co host, Shelly, and darn it, this is Fran. I was going to do it
Hi.
right that time. Um,
Uh,
so, on Friday with Fran, we just talk about things related to special education, being a person with a disability, raising children into adulthood who have disabilities, and sometimes we veer off and we talk about mental health. But honestly, I think mental health goes along with all those other things, don't you?
yeah, it does because it permeates our very existence.
Yeah, absolutely. So, why do we do this? Well, there's varied reasons. It's because I have a background in special education, and Fran has the background in all the other things that I mentioned that we talk about. And so, we just do this to try to be encouraging to others
Hmm.
who
Yeah.
might not have a parent perspective if you're an educator, or they might not have the educator perspective if you're a parent. And, we've walked down the path a ways. And so maybe offering some encouragement or advice or suggestions that maybe someone hasn't thought about before or had thought about but has forgotten about. So I don't know. Are there other reasons that we do this?
Because we just want to give hope to people and share our little nuggets of knowledge that we've gleaned from life experiences with others that it might help make their path a little smoother maybe.
Yeah. And we're not experts. We're just two people who we've been, like I said, we've been on the path for a while in our different on our different paths. We've traversed our own for a while, and we love it when people interact with us because sometimes they have wisdom and knowledge because of their traversing their path that we don't
Right.
have.
Hi,
So
Alex.
if you are joining us just like
Hmm.
Alex did, please let us know. Hi, Alex. And also, if you wouldn't mind telling us, kind of, you don't have to be very specific, but even like, are you watching from Illinois or New Jersey or California or some other country? Uruguay was the country that popped into my mind, and I have no idea why. Um, Anywho, so Fran, what's been going on with you? We've missed a few weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think we have. I think you had stuff going on, and maybe I had some stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've had a lot of health things going on, and
Yeah.
then just trying to balance that with. Have you ever? How do you balance? Here, there's your word, Alex. How do you balance life's responsibilities and draws upon your resources with your personal needs and your mental health?
Oh, wow, we're going very deep, very fast today.
Oh, I thought I might put my phone on vibrate. Sorry.
That's okay. Oh yeah, it's a good. I have to put mine back on Do Not Disturb. It was on Do Not Disturb, but and then I took it off, and now I got to put it back. Um, yeah. So thanks, Alex. Alex is joining from New Jersey. It's tough. I think. I think you have to be very intentional. At least I have to be very intentional about finding things that give me energy and refresh my soul.
Mm,
Otherwise, I'm going to burn out. And I oftentimes am not intentional enough to do that.
okay.
And I do find myself struggling and in that pit of, I can't take one more bit of news. I can't take on one more task. I have all these tasks that I already haven't finished. I can't do anything else because I haven't taken care of me. And you wrote a beautiful, I guess it's a poem, um, and it was titled "The Cup."
Hmm. Yeah.
And that is very true. We can't give from an empty cup. And
Hmm.
what goes into our cup? And what kind of cup are we? So maybe someday, if you don't have it nearby now, we need to have you read that again, because it was very powerful.
Okay.
I don't know what
Did
just
you?
happened.
What did you
I
do?
can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know what just happened. Something is different about my earbuds all of a sudden, and I'm not sure how I did it or how to make it go back.
Did you tap the side?
I I accidentally tapped the side, but never in all the other times when I've intentionally tapped the side has anything ever happened.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's very weird. It's like the whole sound is different, and I don't.
Imagine if you were a student and you were having to do online and that happened,
Yeah,
but
I
you were
mean,
expected
really,
to continue onward.
I am having to be extremely intentional with my focus right now to not focus on the weird thing happening with my sound and my voice and just focus on what we're talking about. So
Hmm.
thankfully, I'm not also trying to learn something, and I can just hear what you're saying and respond. But yeah, this is crazy. Like, I don't, this is bizarre. So my
So
voice,
how
nothing
do
changed
students
for
do
you?
that? No, nothing changed at all.
Okay. Wow.
Are you echoey?
No. It's as if I can hear everything again, but it's all still coming through my ears. Normally, when I have my earbuds on, I don't hear because they're noise canceling. So I guess maybe I somehow turned off the noise canceling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but it's very strange. I'm afraid to touch anything because then I'll mess it up and turn it completely off. So how do you balance? Let's get off of me and this my sound stuff. How do you balance all of the stuff in your and taking care of yourself?
Well, I'm going to be real and be honest. I haven't been doing it very well recently. And I got overwhelmed with this to-do list that I had and the responsibilities along with the to-do list because they were separate. So it was like a couple of lists. And so instead of tackling any of it, I did none of it.
Gotcha.
I just sat.
See, now I'm trying to find the button and now I can't find it. Oh, I think I found it.
Did you find it?
I did. Oh, that's freaky.
Do
Yeah,
you feel
because now
better
I don't
now?
hear anything again.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think so. It's so strange. Yeah, so you haven't been taking care of yourself very well lately.
So I haven't. So I had a session with my counselor the other day, and she says, "Okay, so just tackle a task in a day, just a task, and probably do it in the beginning because you want to get it over with, and then you're done. And that doesn't mean if you tackle it, you have to do it anymore. Just do that task. If you so want to later, you can." So I I took it to heart and I tried it this morning, and it worked. I did a
Good.
task. It helped that I hadn't slept all night, so my morning was like early. Oh,
I'm
it
not
was
sure that
because
that's a help.
oh, it wasn't a help. Well, it was a help for me.
Okay.
But do you ever get those times where you get something on your mind and you can't and you need to try to make something work?
Mhm.
I needed to make sure a soundtrack could play through our soundboard at church. And I knew it was wired wrong to do that.
Okay.
And so I rewired it in my head multiple times throughout the night to make to so that when I finally went, I would know what I was doing. But I couldn't just I though I thought about it. I thought it's not wisdom to drive to the church in the middle of the night
Right.
to mess with the soundboard. It's
Right.
dark and it's a trip hazard. especially when you use a walker.
Right.
So I didn't see. I was wise, and then following physical therapy this morning, I went and tackled the soundboard, and because I had rewired it multiple times in my head, I had multiple scenarios, and I was able to get it done relatively quickly.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks. I was pretty proud.
You should be.
Hopefully it'll work though.
Well, I mean, I guess that'll be the proof of whether it worked, whether you wired it correctly or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you said you processed it and you practiced it in your head multiple times. I was at I'm going to call it a meeting. It started at 9 o'clock, and so it was kind of breakfast, and then we had lunch, but it wasn't brunch because it wasn't one meal. We had two because we were in the meeting for so long, much longer than we anticipated being in the meeting. And but we were talking about the fact that we each process things differently. Some people have to write things out and cross out things and change everything on a piece of paper or on a computer. And then other people will process it in their head, and they'll change things in their head, and they'll do it multiple ways in their head. And then they'll go and do the thing. So I thought that was really interesting that was part of my conversation earlier, and now it's part of my conversation with you.
Yeah, that is interesting. Alex, how do you do it?
How do you keep your balance, Alex? And not just
you're
walking.
always using that word.
Exactly.
So tell us how to do it.
So something else while we're waiting for Alex's response, that I was in a prayer meeting this morning. Every Friday morning, I virtually meet with a group of women, and we do a little scripture study, and then we talk about praise reports and prayer requests. And this morning, we were talking about the fact that when you give a problem to God, or you give a concern, or you give your loved one, or whatever it is that God has asked, like, hey, this thing is taking your attention away from me. So you give that over to him, that you have an empty hand. Okay. So this was the image that I got this morning, is that we have an empty hand, or maybe we have two empty hands. Maybe we have empty hands. And scripture tells us that if you release something negative, if you like, it actually talks about the strong man. If you bind up the strong man, but you don't put anything in to replace what you've given, then you'll get this many times more of attacks from the strong man, or Satan is who we're talking about. So the picture that I got was, okay, I've given this to the Lord, and now we ask the Lord, replace it. What are you going to replace it with? Or we ask him specifically to replace it with something specific. And to me, that was just like, his hands are always overflowing with good and wonderful things. And so just catch in our hands until our hands, because if we have good and wonderful things in our hands, we don't have room for anything negative or bad. And that one of the scriptures that was brought up was Philippians 4:8. And it says to focus on those things that are true, noble, right, lovely. And there's two more. But those are all the good. Did I say noble? So all of those things that are good, we need to focus on those things. And if that's where our focus is, it's hard for us to feel bad about a situation. And one of the women in the group said, I asked myself the question, well, what things are true? I have had anxiety in my life. And so anxiety is really future focused, and all the possibilities of things that could happen. And so none of that is true, because it's not happening right now. It's all predictions, and they are not true and they're not false. They just are. But when I focus on what is true, I'm in my house, I'm in my car, I'm safe, I'm, my life is not over. I mean, all the things that my brain would take me to if I was having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. What is, and so listing out those different things and asking yourself that question is what the other gal said. And I thought, that's, again, it has to be intentional. You have to be intentional about, I need to do this. I need to outward focus as well as inward focus.
That's good.
So I'm going to put, it's Philippians. I can't spell. Chapter 4, verse 8. Oh, he doesn't like the way I spelled Philippians. Okay, I'll try that again. There we go. So that way, if anybody wants to look it up, and the previous verses to that, one of the other women in the group said that she had done a Bible study where she read all the times where God said, give something up or take something off or put something off. It's followed up with what you should do instead. And so the verses before this, verses 6 and 7, talk about, do not be anxious in anything, but in everything with prayer and petition, or with prayer and supplication, bring your petitions to God. And so then this follows that up with, now that you've done that, now fill your mind up with all these good things.
Yeah. It's good. His word is so full of how-tos.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So you have the one thing accomplished, and then you actually had two things accomplished because you went to physical therapy. And now you have 3 or C things accomplished because you're doing Friday with Fran. So you've had a very successful day today.
And I entered it. I had to work on the computer at church as well.
So there's 4 things.
Yeah, I'm worn out.
And I mean, you accomplished the one thing, so now I think it's okay that you rest, especially since you don't sleep well or at all.
But guess what?
What?
I have my new leg.
Oh! So what does that have to do with you resting? Oh, okay.
I have to, it's wearing me out and it's making me have to work because it's not as easy as I thought. It's having to reframe expectations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of where I am in life right now, is reframing expectations. Do you ever have to reframe them?
Yeah. Yep.
Because I thought it was going to be so easy with my leg. And I was ignoring the fact that he said that I was told by multiple people from the company that you generally go backwards when you get your brace. There's a setback. And it's true. You do.
Why is that?
Because you're having to learn how to walk again.
Oh, okay.
And not only learn how to walk again, but in a different fashion from the way you had learned how to walk previously, which was not how I had originally learned how to walk.
Right.
Like putting foot in front of foot.
Yeah.
So it's been a emotional roller coaster as I had to reframe my expectations and of myself and give myself grace.
That's her other word. Alex's other word is grace.
Yeah.
I wonder if we lost her because she's never answered the question I asked her, and that's not like Alex. She normally answers right away.
Yeah. I wonder.
So that's interesting. So when you're talking about your new leg brace, it's a brace, right? That goes on the out. Well, it kind of goes
all the way around
the entire leg. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
From my foot all the way up.
and so this one, compared to your last one, is heavier.
Mm-hmm.
Is it also higher tech?
Yeah, it has a computer. I'm like RoboCop
That's
or the Bionic Woman.
so. What is the Can you explain about the computer part of it? Like, what is its
There's
purpose?
a computer processor on the outside of it. I used to have on my brace I called it a kicker. It was a pneumatic pump that would kick my leg forward for me to walk. This one locks and releases and provides resistance or no resistance to allow me to walk.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
That's all.
And you have to hit 4. I think this is 4.
Yep, that's 4.
Wait, no. How many is 4?
D.
Oh, then that many.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You had 4 the first time. You had this many up. Now you have it like that. So you still have the same number up, just in a different fashion. So then it's 5. So then it's E.
No, it's this many.
Is your thumb up or no?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 4 or D.
Okay. Yeah. So there you have to meet that many parameters to get it to beep, which tells you that it's going to do its business with your joint.
Oh.
And I'm not able to meet all the parameters most of the time. And so it's really frustrating.
Wow. Is that because it's trying to have you mimic a certain way to walk?
I have to be able to stretch and move in certain ways, and I just can't right now.
Okay.
I have to keep my heel down and then keep my toe down as long as possible, but straighten and tighten my thigh. But I can't tighten my thigh because it doesn't tighten because it has no feeling. And then, or not no feeling, no, it just doesn't work. And then there's something else too.
Wow. Okay.
So it's going to be a process. So have you ever had something in life where you thought it was going to be simple and then you came to realize it was a process? And how
Yes.
did you handle that?
Probably. I mean, I know that I've experienced that, and I'm trying to come up with a specific example. I probably was not very patient.
What about your book?
Yeah. I mean, writing my own chapter, I did that one in less than a day. And so I presumed that the other chapters I knew I was going to have to interview people, so that part would take longer, but I thought the actual putting it down on paper would be just as fast, and I was very, very wrong. So with that specific example, then finding the motivation to sit down and work on putting the interviews, because the interviews were different questions in a different order than how they flow in each of the chapters. So, putting some question that I had asked much later in the interview process, but the answer goes much earlier in the writing process. So working my way through all of that and then putting it onto paper was much more daunting than I thought it was going to be. But it's a beautiful book, and it was definitely worth everything. But going through it, I thought, there was a point where I thought I'm never going to get this completed. I'm just going to stop now.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have stopped it's hard to say because I didn't necessarily write or do something on the book every day anyway. But to then, like, in my head go, okay, I'm done. And so I might have done that for a day or two. But the Lord's like, no, you're not done. because I told you to write this book and you're going to finish this book. Okay, Lord. Then I need you to help me because I don't have what I need to do it on my own. I need you, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, as long as he's helping me. That part of through Christ who strengthens me. I had to get my strength to keep going from him.
You couldn't you couldn't get it from your neighbor.
I couldn't get it from my spouse. I couldn't get it from my
spouse.
kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't get it from my cheerleaders that knew about the book at that point, because I didn't really tell a lot of people about it. I mean, my mom and my mother-in-law, my husband, my daughter, that was pretty much it until it was in the very final, oh, okay, it's in editing now and I've already written it. It's complete.
Good job.
Thanks.
I see it.
Yeah, it's back behind me. It's right there. I don't know if that, no, right there. And yeah, part of our scriptural study this morning was about being proud and having haughty eyes and having pride, being prideful, and how that's wrong. It's okay to be proud of things. It's not okay to dwell and live in that sense of pride, because pride leads us to do things away from God and things that we maybe shouldn't be doing, or not even maybe, that we shouldn't be doing.
Because it draws our focus off of relying on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yes, I am proud of the book, but I don't live in that pride of the book. Yeah, and I think it's easy for me to say that it's a good book because it really isn't my words. I mean, one chapter is, but really all the other chapters, I put the stories to paper, but they're other people's stories, and those stories were given to me by those people. So it's easier for me to be proud of it because it's not all me, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very proud and humbled, which are two kind of opposite words, at how well the book turned out. But the humble part is those families shared their stories with me, and they trusted me, and they were very raw with their stories and their feelings and their emotions and everything that they went through. And I think that's phenomenal that they have that much trust in me that they would do that.
Says a lot about you as a person and your character.
I hope so. Thank you. All glory goes to God for who I am. Like I said, the book wouldn't have been completed if he hadn't, A, given me the idea, B, walked me through, and C, continued to motivate me, and then D, brought me an editor, and E, brought me a publisher, and and now
I like how you give glory to God through it. That's awesome.
it's all him. Negative things I bring upon myself because of my own thoughts or actions or words, but all the good stuff, I'm happy to give him all the glory for those things, because that's what he is. He's all good all the time. There's a saying, God is good all the time.
All the time. All
and
the time.
all the time, God is good.
God is good.
Yep.
I think it's cool for me. I've gotten our church streaming and more into this updated time technology wise, but I know that it wasn't me because I can't do numbers, so there's no way I can claim it. And I think it's really cool how that way God gets all the glory.
Yes, amen. And you know something else that is really cool about God? You know, if I'm going to introduce you to someone, you know, I give you some backstory about that person. And then if I'm talking to you later about that person, I'll say, oh, you know, so and so, you know, I introduced you and they look like this, or they live here, or they'd have this job, or some sort of, you know, other idea that triggers that memory in your brain. The cool thing about God is I don't have to do any of that. I can
Hmm.
just say, Lord, I'm praying for Fran. And out of all the Frans in the world that have ever been or ever will be, he knows that I mean you specifically. And I don't have to go, I don't have to tell him your last name. I don't have to tell him where you live. I don't have to say my friend. I can just say Fran. And he knows. And I think that is so incredible because
Hmm.
you can come to me and say, I need some prayer, but I can't tell you anything about it. And then I can go, hey, Lord, Fran's got a prayer request and you know what's on her heart. I don't know what's there, but you do. So please help her through this situation or help a friend or whatever. And that's I don't know. That just gets me so excited to know that he knows that stuff.
I
Do we
think
have
it's
Cooper
cool.
or Emmy? Oh, Cooper. No sweater for Cooper today.
No, where
Oh,
we live, it is a little warm.
yeah, it is over 100 degrees here today that I saw when I was coming home from somewhere recently, the thermostat on the car. Yeah.
And the heat index is triple digits as well.
Yes. Yes. It's disgustingly hot. I don't like the heat. And I don't like to be
Oh, but
outside
you
on
know
days.
what's you don't? You know
No.
what's really cool?
Air conditioning. I know that's not what you meant, but
When it works, it is.
well, yeah,
Yes.
this is true.
So I have something to be thankful for in the midst of my body falling apart. My thermostat's all out of whack. My body thermostat's all out of whack. So this
Oh,
heat doesn't bother me.
oh,
I was sitting out in my van in the church parking lot answering some texts and some emails prior to heading home, but I didn't have my van running
oh, wow.
and I didn't have the windows open.
Oh, that sounds atrocious.
And someone was concerned. They went knock 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 knock, and I said, and I realized I didn't have the window open, so I started the car and rolled the window down. And I said, "Yes, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just answering what I said." And I said, "It's a little hot, and you're in there with the car not running." "Well, I was just trying to save some gas, and I'm okay. But I'll start the car." So I started the car for their benefit and finished my stuff and headed home. And I was grateful that because I used to the first thing when I would get in a car was start the car, and if I wasn't the driver, I'd be like start the car because I couldn't handle the heat in a car.
Right.
And so now that I've got a broken thermostat, it doesn't really bother me.
Hmm.
So isn't that cool?
It is cool. Do you get really cold then? Or do you just like temperature has no effect on you at all?
I get really cold.
Okay.
Like I was wearing a jacket the other day.
Yeah. Yeah. My body does not regulate temperature well. I honestly, I had a meeting yesterday and I was working at home all day long and I had on long sleeves and long pants and I had thought about, oh yeah, I've got this meeting later this afternoon. So when I got dressed really to go to the meeting. And then even with the long pants and long sleeves on, I sometimes would put a jacket on. And then when I went to the meeting, I ended up where I had to park and where I had to go into the building was quite a distance further than what I was anticipating. And I was like, holy cow, it's hot. But I mean, yeah, I'm at first when I got outside, I was like, oh, this doesn't feel too bad. But then the more steps I took, it was like, okay. And then I had to walk through it. The meeting was at a school, and I had to walk past a row of buses that were running because they were getting ready to pick the kids up. So then I was getting all the heat from the buses too. And I was extremely glad to get into the air conditioning because I for a second I thought, I really don't feel well because of all the heat. But once I got inside, it was much better and I was okay. But yeah, I said, I'm probably the only person that's, feels like it's over 100 degrees outside and I'm walking around my house with a jacket on. And it's not really that much different in temperature now than it was or than it will be in the wintertime. I mean, we pretty much keep the temperature about the same all year round, but just my body is non-regulated when it comes to temperature.
We don't. We keep it to the extreme.
Yeah.
It's, what did they say? I keep it at 85.
Holy cow.
Now, and then in the winter, 60, I think.
Wow.
But we're able to pay the fire bill that way.
Right.
You gotta be able to cut corners somewhere, right?
Yeah. And I mean, in the wintertime when it's 60, I don't have a problem as much that because you can put on extra clothes or blankets or whatever. But I don't know if I could let the house get to 85 because I used to have a difficult time breathing in the heat and the humidity. It was like, I said atrocious for my word earlier, but really I was thinking suffocating because of all the shit that that's what it would have felt like to me. I just love Cooper. He's not doing it right now, but just the way he had his paw wrapped around you, like he was giving you a hug and resting his head in your shoulder.
Well, right now he's sitting in the palms of my hand, leaning against me. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
Can you see him?
I can see him. Yeah, I can't see your hands, but I can see him.
Oh yeah, I can't lift that high. So
that's okay.
Anyway,
I have a picture. It's okay. I have an understanding, I think, of what you said. So yeah. So what do you do in this heat?
I was just going to ask you that. Well, in the past, with my kiddos, if we got too stir crazy in the house, if we had to go outside, we would involve water.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was a sprinkler, a hose, or something, but always remember to run the water out of the hose before you spray it on somebody.
Yes, very good tip. Because if you don't, the water comes out scalding hot.
Yes. So we would do that, and then we would be soaking wet, and then come inside and traipse it all over the house. But we would have gotten a break from being inside.
Right. Yep. Something that I like to do was color. Violet loved to color, still does. And so we would color, or I've always kind of enjoyed small puzzles. Like, I don't like this and lots and lots and lots of them. But, sometimes I would work on puzzles that were kind of simple. The coloring, trying to do things that it wasn't just sitting in front of the television or sitting on. I mean, she didn't have any kind of tablet until she was in high school, but, trying not to, like I said, just kind of not being on a screen.
We'd have indoor ball fights.
Oh, yeah.
The balls that filled the ball pits?
Uh-huh.
My son had tons and tons and tons of those. It was like every birthday or holiday he would get some.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we would have dodgeball. We'd sit on either side of his room and just throw them at each other. Back and forth and back and forth. And the dogs would come running in and grab a ball and go, or skitter through all the balls and bark and then run back out. And the cats would just think we were crazy.
I mean, don't cats generally think humans are crazy?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, Nerf guns. We used to have, each of us had our own, and we just had the smaller ones, maybe the kind that were like that big or something. We never did the whole big, huge like they have now. But so yeah, we would sometimes do that. And what else would we do? Play just like cards or board games.
We would bake.
You would bake?
Yes, I know it was kind of backwards, but it was something to do, and
Yeah.
but yeah, we would bake because then it gave them something to eat.
Right.
And sometimes the baking came out really wonky or didn't come out at all because they were doing the mixing and the measuring, and sometimes you get distracted with measuring because you'd have no idea how many scoops of flour because this kid did some, and well, whose turn was it? Did you do it? What number are we on?
I could see that working with 3 people, because I do that sometimes if I'm doing it myself and somebody talks to me or the phone rings or I get distracted, then I'm like, uh-oh, how many scoops or how many cups did I put in and how many more am I supposed to do?
I used to help keep track on my fingers.
Oh, that's a smart idea.
And so, like, if I needed this many, so then I would just keep folding them down till.
Mm-hmm.
But that only works if you have a free hand to do that.
Yes. And if you don't grab something with the hand that you're counting down on, and then you've lost count.
That's true.
I could see myself doing that a lot, because mixing and grabbing and pouring, I'd put the hand that I was counting with onto something else and then be like, oh shoot, now I don't know what I need to do anymore.
You know what we did sometimes to make sure we didn't have the measuring mix-ups?
What?
Instead of measuring into the big bowl, we would measure the flour into a bowl, the sugar into a bowl, and then that way, at least we just had to remeasure the sugar or flour instead of going, I don't know how much is in that bowl, mixed in there
Right.
with the chocolate chips and mixed in there with the butter. And
yeah, that's an excellent way to do it, and that's actually how professionals do it. They don't measure all the ingredients into one thing. They measure each thing out separately, and then as it needs to go into the recipe, they do it that way. I'm just too lazy about doing dishes, so I don't want to have all those extra separate things that have had measured items in them. I just want to do it all in one. And
I don't mind the dry stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can just wipe those out. But the wet stuff, yeah, you're right. Do you consider brown sugar wet or dry?
Dry.
Because it's sticky.
Yeah. I've always considered it dry. I mean, I feel like I could wipe out the bowl. If I was just going to wipe, I wash everything after I use it, whether it's a dry ingredient or a wet ingredient.
Oh, okay.
Whether I've used something to cut bread or something to cut a tomato, I'm still gonna, hopefully I'm not using the same utensil, but if I used the same knife, I would wash it even after I cut the bread, even though it doesn't really leave anything.
Is that how you were raised?
Probably. I don't know. Mom's not here to ask.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think I probably picked that up in, well, they call them cooking classes now, but at the time it was a home economics class where you cooked and you learned how to make clothes and you learned how to budget and all that stuff. Because in those classes, they are very, very much about, cleanliness and hygiene and not hygiene, sterilizing and, making sure that you're not sharing germs from this thing to this thing to this thing. And, or like if you have, like peanuts, if you were going to use peanuts and you had those measured out in a bowl and you just wiped it out with a paper towel or something, the next thing that you use that bowl for could still have the peanut residue. And so if somebody eats what you used that second bowl for, if they have a peanut allergy, they could be affected by the residue from before.
Hold on 1 second. Did you need something?
Okay. So yeah, I think that's probably why I wash everything down and off, is because of the possible cross-contamination of things. And it's kind of the question somebody asked this a while back on Facebook: how many times do you use a towel after you shower? The same towel. Do you use it and put it in the wash, or do you use it and hang it up, or do you use it and throw it on the floor and then you use them again? And I think it's just, I don't know, whatever you think is best for you. I'm not 100% sure there's a right answer for that.
Yeah, I think it's a personal preference.
Yeah.
Probably shaped by how you were raised and by those around you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think so too. Definitely. Just trying to squint to see how much time we've been on today, to see how much time we have left.
Oh, okay.
We've got lots of time, which I thought we did, but I don't know. My glasses are dirty, I guess. I couldn't see. There's also a glare when I turn my head. See how I get the... So when I do that, I'm like, oh, I can't see what that said. But we've talked about grace. We've talked about what you do in difficult times. We've talked about ideas of things to do on a hot day. Making ice cream and eating ice cream on a hot day. That's a good thing to do.
Have you ever done ice cream in a Ziploc bag?
No, but I know that there is a way to do it. I just don't know what it is.
That's something fun to do with kids.
Yeah.
But they need gloves to do it because the bag gets really cold.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah, we have an ice cream maker. So we just put all the stuff in there and it does it all.
Do you have an ice cream maker you need to add ice to, or do you have one that's in the freezer and then you take it out and you pour your mix in?
That one.
But you have to have your mix a certain temperature before you can make it. Right?
Yeah, and most of the time the mixes, I know there are some types of ice cream that you can cook different ingredients before you mix them in to make them ice cream, but most of the ones that I used were always like they were already either ingredients in the refrigerator or in a cabinet. They weren't hot. What, do you have one?
I have the same kind as you, but I have B of the bowls that go on the inside.
Oh, okay. No, I just have one.
I think about it.
Container.
They're in the freezer all the time, and they're taking up space.
Yeah, we just have one container, but yeah, it's in the freezer all the time because that has to stay frozen. Because there's like some liquid in it that, you know, because we can do quick ice cream with ours. It says quick, but it's still like be around the clocks or more, which to me, I guess is not, I mean, it is quicker than if you did it the other way, but it's still not fast.
It's not instantaneous.
Exactly. I've heard your phone go off a couple times. Do we need to end for today so you can take care of whatever's happening?
I thought I had put it on silent, but it's only on vibrate.
No, it's fine. I just want to make sure that if you need to take care of something, because I know you've had several things to do lately and you've accomplished several things today, but if you need to take care of another thing or a person, we absolutely can end.
It just won't stop going off.
Is it who I think it is?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well, probably not if
no
it's
idea.
Like if you're not getting phone calls, because normally the person I'm thinking of only calls
Oh,
you.
That
He does.
person's already called me a bunch of times today. My son.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
He okay, I got to tell you this funny.
Okay.
This tells you how good a staff he has. He gets on, he goes, "Ma, I need pants." Thinking, did you like have an accident and you don't have pants near you? Or are your pants dirty? I need pants. I need money. I need to go buy pants. I was like,
Okay.
look, you don't have enough money right now. You've been eating out, so you can't go buy pants. And then the staff's like, can I talk to your mom? And he says, yeah. And he says, he's looking for a dirty pair of pants that he desperately wants to wear. And I will let him wear this dirty pair of pants if you say he should, but I really don't believe he should wear dirty clothes. I said, I don't either. So I'm very thankful that you're working with him. And so I said, let me talk to him again. And so he says, I need pants. I need to go buy pants. I said, no, you don't. You just need to not keep wearing the same pants over and over, and you need to wear a different pair of pants. You have a clean pair. Yeah, right here. We'll put that pair on. And we went back and forth with this pants thing, but he was so focused on his pants.
Mhm.
And then I said, wait a second. Are you putting pants or shorts on? Because it's kind of hot. And he'll wear pants and a long sleeve shirt just because that's what he wants to wear. And
Right.
so he needs some redirection sometimes in what's appropriate. He goes, pants, shorts. I was like, okay, at least I know what you're going for. So
Right.
we hung up and they called back. I need pants.
Oh.
I said, we just talked about this. Don't you have your new pants on? No, I need new pants. So those are the kind of conversations we have sometimes.
Okay.
And just trying to come at it a different direction, reframe it, rephrase it, redirect it. Sometimes just hang up because you can't do anything else and know he'll call back and then you'll try again.
Right. Reset. Start over.
Yeah. So anyway, so I don't think any of
Okay.
the phone calls have been in. But anyway.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, like I said, I mean, and we're getting closer to the end all the time anyway, so it's not like we're cutting off midway or way before normal. But
okie doke.
did we talk about what we wanted to talk about today?
I think we did. Because I don't think we had an agenda per se. It was
No, not really.
It was a direction of giving hope in the midst of a chaotic world.
Yeah,
And I think we accomplished that.
I think so. And this is what the show is. It truly is just us two chatting and having a conversation about things going on in our world. And I'm sorry, I keep having to shift in my chair. I feel like I'm sitting really low today, so I've got things propped underneath me, but they keep sliding, and then I keep getting stronger, and then I have to feel like So yeah. So you got the real versions. I mean, I feel like we're real every week, but this week I feel like the real versions, like the new
got
things.
the unedited Shelley and Fran.
Do what?
They got the unedited Shelley and Fran.
Yes. Yeah. Sorry. I still the earbuds are being weird. I didn't hear what you said at the beginning. All I heard was something Shelley Fran, and so
Oh, okay.
yeah. And Cooper. We got the. I mean, I think Cooper's unedited every time he's on with us, but yeah, he's just so darn cute. It's just crazy how cute he is. So yeah, we always try to end, or before we end, by letting you know that you're never alone. You have people like Fran and I, you have God, and you have people, you have hotlines if you are feeling we talked about some mental health stuff today. So if you are you finding it, thank you. There's a hotline that you can text or you can call, and someone will answer you immediately, and just walk you through it. We all, as both of us have said today, have gone through down times, tough times, times that we're feeling like we're in the muck, and it's harder and harder to walk through that muck every day because it just seems like the muck is getting muckier. But you will come out on the other side eventually. And you're not doing it by yourself.
Mhm.
Even if you think you're by yourself, you're really not. God is watching you and he's with you all the time. He wants you to reach out to him. And if you think you're not good enough, or you think you're not in the proper place, you're wrong. All of us are sinners. And all of us had Jesus die on the cross for us to forgive us of those sins and to make us worthy.
Mhm.
So if you think that you're so bad off, that you're the one person that he can't save, it's not true. He is here for you, just like he is here every day for Fran, and like he is here every day for Shelly and every other person. Yes, he's here for the masses, but he is very individualistic as well. So always remember that and just reach out to him. And if you need help looking for scriptures, please reach out to Fran or I through here and let us know that, you know, you're a legitimate person with legitimate needs. Sadly, I get spammed a lot by people who really have not great intentions. So if you let me know, hey, I heard you say if I need help finding scriptures that you would help me, I'm 100% there for you. And I will help you find scriptures. So just got to let me know that. And you don't have to tell me all your history. Just tell me, I heard you on Friday with Fran saying if I needed help finding scriptures that you would help me. And I will be happy to do that. Anything you want to add, Fran?
Just, you really aren't alone, and reach out and don't lose hope.
All right. I think we'll see you next week. If not, make sure that you're subscribed to this channel. You've liked this page, whether you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube. And that way, whenever we do come back on for Friday with Fran, you'll get the notification that we're on and you can jump on and join us. Have a blessed week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.